And we're live here in room 40 at Turlings Catholic High School. Hey. Just trying to get the full screen effect here. All right. So, last lesson of the chapter is on both the prayer of Jesus, to see Jesus as a prayerful man, and to learn from that how to pray ourselves. Jesus' prayer life shows us his love for the Father and how he was never acting alone. Jesus' prayer life should inspire our own. Bless you. And this picture here is a good visual of what I want you to take from this lesson. You had a bell ringer from Mark chapter 1, verse 34 and following, about Jesus going off to pray. But, to see it and to process that, to think about what he would be praying with, that's what I want you to enter into, his love for the Father and, his need to be led by the Spirit, the Holy Spirit. Okay? All right. So I'm going to walk you through the public life of Jesus through his prayer. When did Jesus pray? The first time was he's baptized by John. And he goes into the desert for 40 days. Does battle with Satan, spiritual battle. And Satan tempts him with 3 temptations you could read about in a couple different Gospels. I think it's Matthew and Luke record the temptations. And Jesus is praying for 40 days. This is the first thing he does. He leaves Nazareth. He leaves the carpenter shop. He's baptized, and he prays for 40 days. No food, no drink. Prayer and fasting. A very intense example Jesus sets before us. That's how he starts it all off. He comes out of the desert, and he's ready to start preaching, but he's got a call. He's got to call a crowd. And so he prays the night before, calling his apostles, Andrew, Peter, James, and John are the first 4 that he called. They follow him. They travel around town to town. He's preaching. He's healing. And then he turns to them and says, "Who do you say that I am?" Peter says, "You are the Son of the living God." And that's the first declaration of who Jesus is. And Jesus knows that that's a big deal. His identity is revealed, and it's going to lead to his crucifixion. So he prays the night before. Peter declares him the Christ. This is the raising of Lazarus from the dead in the Gospel of John chapter 11. And as he's about to call Lazarus forth from the grave, he says, "Father, glorify me so that people on this earth may experience our glory and they may believe that you are the one who sent me." So he's praying deeply to his Father before he raises. Bless you. The most popular, if I ask you when did Jesus pray, you might say, in the Garden of Gethsemane. You're right. This is the most popular prayer scene of Jesus' life. He's sweating blood. He's in high anguish. It's the night before he dies. He's asking the Father, "Let this cup pass from me. Let this chalice pass from me, if it be your will." And so he's praying intensely, of course, the night before he dies, and he doesn't really stop. And as he's dying on the cross, he says, "Father, forgive them. They know not what they do." And I don't even have your bell ringer up there. There's other instances of Jesus going off to pray randomly throughout the night for no clear reason to us. But it's from the beginning to the end is my point, and it's through and through. Definitely before big events, There's a Catholic like trend among faithful Catholics that's a really good one. A lot of faithful Catholics before they get married have they and their groomsmen and bridesmaids will go do a holy hour, the night before the wedding. That's a good example of how to live this. Go to adoration chapel, the night before your high school graduation, or you know, those moments in your life, sit with Jesus in those moments, and he will penetrate the rest of your life when you keep him at the center of the big events. So that's the prayerful Jesus right there. Okay. Now, if we go a little bit deeper, we could ask ourselves, well, why would Jesus pray? He's God. He never sinned. What could he possibly need or want in prayer? And that's a fair question. But other than just leaving us an example of the need for prayer, I think Jesus prays for the following three reasons: to unite to his Father in love. It's kind of like he's always one with the Father. He's always doing the Father's will, but sometimes it's good just to focus on that and to wait for more inspiration. It's kind of like a married couple that still goes out on dates. Like, let's remind ourselves why we fell in love and try to fall in love all the more. You got to stay plugged in, and that's what Jesus does. Jesus knows that he's got to die on the cross, a painful death. He's got to prepare for this struggle. And so he prays for the strength in his weak, perhaps human nature. And he says, Father, don't let me go weak here. Let me fulfill the mission that you have put before me. So to prepare for his mission and for strength, Jesus prays much for his chosen apostles. In fact, there's a whole chapter, Gospel of John, chapter 17. It's just Jesus's prayer for his disciples. It's like one of his final prayers. All right, so that's the prayer of Jesus. And if you look at this list, he plugs into his Father, which reminds him, not that he forgot it, but who am I? What am I to do? And how am I to do this? So I took these three reasons to pray, and while we have a lot more reasons to pray than Jesus because we're sinners, I broke up your meditation tomorrow into these three categories, and you're going to get this handout tomorrow on the bus. Which question do you think you have for God right now? Are you struggling with your identity and your relationship to God? Do the who am I meditation that I give you tomorrow. Or you can do the God, what do you want from me? Or you can do the God, I think I know what you want me to do, but I'm really struggling, to do that. How am I supposed to carry this out? Send me your strength. So I give you three meditations, and I'm going to suggest you pick one. If you have another plan in mind, you can do that as long as you pray and journal. But more on that tomorrow. But just so you know what I'm going to give you tomorrow. All right, last slide. Okay. What does our prayer look like? We only have a few minutes left, but I'm recording this, so I kind of really want to finish. And the notes on this slide are simply your three vocab terms about prayer. And just know that number one is the lowest form of prayer, and number three is the deepest form of prayer. Number one is vocal prayer, which are simply words that we say to God. When we stand, at the end of the day and say the serenity prayer, that's vocal prayer. When we say the morning offering, that's vocal prayer. We say the Angelus, vocal prayer. When you kneel before your bed at night, you say, thank you, God, for my day. I love you. Forgive me for my sins. Our Father, Hail Mary, glory be. That's vocal prayer. And that's good stuff. It's just the entryway, though. It's just your starting gate. Most good Christians never get past that. And that is a sad, sad story. And some of you have never gone past that. And I'm here to help you. Because if you just stay there, it's not much of a relationship. I actually went to something of a party recently, and there was a Turling's mom there, and she knew who I was. She just jumped into conversation with me, and she really talked like this. She kept asking questions about my family and my life and how the kids going, how's the class meeting? Are you teaching sophomores right now? And she really just kept talking like this. And she talked to my wife like that too, and she just wouldn't stop talking. Well, we got to make sure that's not our prayer time with God. Okay, God, I thank you for this day. It's been really great. I love you. Our Father, Hail Mary, glory be. Talk to you tomorrow. We got to go deeper than that. That's vocal prayer, and that's good. You need vocal prayer, but it can't be the end goal. What I've been teaching you this year with Lectio Divina is meditation, and that's a more reflective pondering. Meditation is a reflective pondering where you have some words from the Bible, perhaps from your Jesus Calling book, maybe just the words of the Our Father. Maybe something just rocked your life, and something happened big time in your life, and you just need to go talk to Jesus about it. You're meditating on what is going on. God, why are you allowing this, for good or for bad? That's meditation. And it's a prolongated time of silence. I usually give you 10-15 minutes in the chapel, which I think is the minimum. Tomorrow you're going to get 30, but it's being able to let God speak. And when I asked you, how do y'all speak on a day-to-day basis, a lot of y'all, like, I sit in silence and I listen to God. I haven't gotten that from most students today, of course, but that's a deeper level of prayer that we all need to strive for. Okay. And that's my goal. If I can teach you the importance of meditation, and you're convinced at the end of this year that daily meditation would help your life, and you want that, I've done my job. You'll find God after that. But that's the one tool that will unlock everything else you need in life. Number 3 is contemplation. This is tough to describe, but it's a deeper presence of God that the person opens themselves up to. It's not just thinking about God, but God makes himself fully present. This person avails the entire heart, mind, soul, body to God, using their senses and imagination to dispose them to God. And then when God shows up, he very much envelops the person in his presence. It's very mystical. It's very deep. I was blessed by God to experience this when I did retreats in seminary. I'd go on 8-day silent retreats, and after meditating for a while, you get deeper and deeper, and you get closer and closer to God, and then he just takes over, and it's like you're having a real conversation, like a real-time conversation and encounter with Jesus. It's possible. I'm willing to show you maybe later in the year what that looks like. All right, but that's contemplation. All right, so that's Jesus and prayer lesson.